A new tropical wave is about to emerge off Africa, and this does have a decent shot to become our next named storm, which is a Gabrielle. Here to speak on that, we'll get very detailed, compare all model guidance. After that, we'll speak on a reinforcing shot of cool air behind another cold front that's going to dive down to portions of the country. Who's going to get the coolest air? There has been some changes with this cooler air mass, so we'll speak on that when we get to that portion of the video, and then we'll round it off with today's forecast, and then we'll be done. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below, folks. Please, if it's unspoken, put it in the comments. If you want to listen to your entire situation, you can do that also. Not only will I pray over these prayer requests, but it gives many others an opportunity to do so too. And trust me, we got several prayer warriors on this channel that will quite literally skim through all the comments and pray over your situation. So definitely do that. It's a way to glorify God, and we certainly want to do that. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the entire Atlantic Basin. We always start these updates on the tropics like this to make sure this is going to work, and it is. So we do got a lot of activity off the eastern seaboard. This typically happens when you sort of have frontal boundaries around, hanging maybe just offshore or maybe just inland. But there is sort of a lower area of pressure developing, and just a lot of unsettled weather. But the thing is, just to wrap this part up, there's not really anything gaining true tropical characteristics with this. And once upon a time, if we go back, say, 3 or 4 days ago, we thought some sort of low pressure was going to develop a little bit closer to the eastern seaboard and maybe bring more impacts across the eastern seaboard all the way up to Atlantic Canada. It looks like it's going to stay well offshore now, but we'll continue to watch it. But outside of that, we are just, watching way out here in the tropical Atlantic. Now, my face might be in the way. We're about to take a closer look at this, but there's a new tropical wave starting to emerge off Africa, and will really fully emerge once we get into tomorrow. And this has a decent shot to develop, and we honestly might be watching this for quite some time based off what we're seeing with model guys. And here's just a closer look at it. You got the you got northern areas of, you got the Leeward Islands, the Lesser Antilles here, and then you got Africa here, South America right here. So this is what we call the MDR, Main Development Region. And folks, it's August 31st. I mean, we're pretty much at kind of the front door of peak hurricane season that lasts a couple weeks. But this is really getting into peak hurricane season. So we really got to watch things. The thing that's, working in our favor right now is we're kind of in an unfavorable, what we call MJO phase. And there's a lot of sinking air that's moved into the Atlantic Basin, and we need rising air for tropical activity. But that doesn't mean that, something can't develop out there. So this is sort of the beginnings of a new tropical wave. We're watching it, just like I said, it looks like your classic tropical wave. Nothing developing out of it right now, but this is what we're going to be watching, sort of the front edge of it. There's more sort of activity still over areas of northern Africa. So we'll continue to move forward now. We're right at the front door of a new update from the National Hurricane Center. Let's see if we'll catch it. We are not. That stinks. But listen, this is the latest information as of around 1:12 a.m. from overnight. There's a new update that's going to come out probably any minute. It's 7:30 right now. I'll try to go back to this, but right now, this has a 30% chance to develop. So here's a discussion. The tropical wave is forecast to emerge off the west coast of Africa by tomorrow. Environmental conditions could support some slow development of this system. It has a 30% chance to develop into a named storm or depression. I could see this going up from a 30 to a 40% chance here in the next several minutes. I want to see if they bump it up at technically the 8 a.m. update. So we'll try to go back to this right at the end of this update on the tropics and see if we can catch the update. I always hate when we miss the update by a couple minutes, but let's move past this. But that is the area of interest, this stuff from the tropical wave we are about to discuss in detail here. So what about the latest Euro from overnight? We're going to start this off for tomorrow morning, September 1st. Happy fall, in my opinion, even if it is 95 degrees outside for your neck of the woods. In my neck of the woods, it's not so. But we get into tomorrow. You can't really see what's going on really at all, but I just want you to kind of focus on this blob of greens with some yellows and oranges embedded into it. That's just shower and storm activity over the Atlantic. Now you're going to see a full low pressure here. So 10, 11 millibar lows. We're getting into Wednesday. We started getting to Thursday. And it says it. It says it on the discussion from the National Hurricane Center. Slow development is the key to words there. And I mean, it's still just a weak low There is a L popping up on your screen though, so that's interesting. And this kind of just hangs with us. And it makes sense that what the Euro is showing with hardly no development, because we're not in a really favorable phase out there right now. It's going to be hard to get just a full ocean crossing, slow developing tropical wave into eventually a hurricane. But what I will tell you is the direction this is going is working in tandem with a more favorable pulse of rising air working towards it. They're kind of working towards one another. So the further this can get, and this is all the way 8 days from now, September the 8th, Monday morning, the further this can get and still kind of maintain sort of just a core, if you will, the higher the chance this has to become our next named storm. So we continue to move forward, and sure enough, this develops at around day 10 into a tropical storm, and then eventually a hurricane. But it does begin to turn, but there's no point in getting hung up on steering currents right now, because one thing, if you watch my channel, the first thing we always got to figure out is, are we going to even get anything that develops? Once it looks like that it's developed, or everything points to it developing, that's when we start to really focus in on where it goes. But the Euro does have a powerful hurricane turning, but turning so quickly that it actually is east of Bermuda, which is this speck right here. But I mean, guys, this is 360 hours out. Okay, so what does the GFS show with this tropical wave? Well, here it comes right here. You can see it pretty well. It sort of separates itself from all the other stuff, and here it is. I mean, it's already a tropical storm by next Saturday morning, 6 days from now, and it immediately starts to gain some latitude because of the strength. And we get between day 7 and 10, so like next Monday, and it's a 998 millibar low, and it's slowly strengthening, and it looks like it's just gonna continue to sort of gain latitude and stay out in the ocean. And then the last few frames after we get past day 10, it looks like some ridging tries to build on top of it and just kind of creeps a little bit further west. But it kind of does something similar to the Euro, but the Euro keeps this weaker in the shorter term, and therefore, further south, a little bit more of a low rider. But the GFS and the Euro show eventually a powerful storm coming out of this, and it just takes forever. So if the GFS and the Euro are correct, we could be talking about this one for a while. And of course, we don't know what the steering currents are going to be on top of the storm 2 weeks from now, right? So what about the Euro AI model? Does it show anything? Well, here it comes. There's the wave developing, sort of follows more so the Euro, but weaker. And honestly, it really never develops it. So, I mean, there really ain't a whole lot to stay on that. But what about the latest icon? Same thing. We take this Tuesday, we get into Wednesday, we get into Thursday, and we just got a very slow moving, chugging along tropical wave / weak tropical storm. Still closer to Africa at this point by this coming Friday than, say, the Caribbean islands. So, yeah, I mean, all model guidance likes the idea of slow development at least. And if you look at the Euro ensemble, remember this makes up 51 members, so it's not Attack of the L's where we have multiple low pressures. This is it's an ensemble run, and in this case throws all the members on a screen for us. And we look at it as a signal, not as, there's going to be 30 tropical storms that's going to hit us at once. So as we get this in motion, we get to 1 week out. There's a solid signal there. Some are slower, some are faster. That's interesting. And then we get all the way to day 10. What's interesting to me is some of these hang pretty far south, and therefore have a higher risk of impacting land, some areas of the Caribbean, right? And then you got some that are turning pretty fast, and some just are kind of in a middle ground right here, kind of blending in with one another because they're all close. So it's a pretty large spread. But there also isn't a ton of members, but there is still a lot. So it's an interesting signal off the Euro ensemble because it really has some low riders here that, we want this to gain latitude fast. Gain latitude as in, if something's going to develop into here, we want it to do like this, right? We've been lucky so far with that. Well, I mean, We've only really had one big storm that's done it, and that is Aaron. But we don't want these kind of staying weak and then eventually hitting that favorable juiced up MJO pulse and all of a sudden gaining strength closer to the Caribbean islands, the Lesser and Greater Antilles, right? So it's an interesting signal. This is 10 days out. Now, what about, say, the GFS ensemble? And we only have 144 hours. So we'll probably have to jump to the OOZ. But the O6Z, this is the latest one. It's still running. And a lot of members, weak members, but I mean, this only goes out to about this coming Saturday morning, 6 days from now. But we do look at, say, the OOZ, and it doesn't look a whole lot different. Let's just go on and go 10 days out. And none of them get close to the Lesser Antilles or the Greater Antilles. The stronger ones develop and then turn. And remember, the GFS ensemble only makes up 21 members, so naturally you're not going to see as many members on your screen. So I really think that this is a wave to watch, but to be concerned about, no. And I mentioned, I think, a video or two back, I don't think that this wave, I think I said, quote unquote, I don't think this wave is the wave that we need to worry about. But I would kind of back that statement up just a little bit. And not now, I don't want to say we need to worry about it. But because it just kind of meanders out there for so long, the longer this wave hangs with us, the higher the chance that it is going to develop into something. Now, just because it develops into something, that doesn't mean it's going to impact somebody with a hurricane. But we have that favorable pulse of rising air that's going to be moving towards this area as we get closer to that threshold day I've been talking about a lot, which is September 10th. We need to watch after that. We're not done with hurricane season, guys. I'm not just saying that because I want to hype up my channel for views, but you know, we're just not. I'm telling you. I think we all should know what late September and early October can do for the Gulf coastline off the coast of the Southeast with the recent years of the past. So let's give you some updated information on this next cold front on the way. You know, I will say that just the lingering air mass from the trough we've had in place over the eastern U.S. will continue to keep us cool. For example, I mean, it's about 63 degrees at my house right now, and I know some people up north are like, man, that ain't nothing. Well, that's pretty cool for the last day of August. And we're probably going to get some mornings in the upper 50s across the southeast with some return flow. But there is another cold front we're watching that's going to drop down the coming days, and this is going to bring an even cooler shot of air for certain areas, not everybody. So this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the 5th through the 9th of September. And if you live in the blue area, you have a shot at below average temperatures. The more bluer areas, you have a higher shot at below average temperatures. So one thing that has changed though is this is starting off Tuesday morning. You see the below average temperatures, you know, a few degrees to several degrees below average hanging with us across the southern tier of the country. And this will probably hang with us. And then you see this big blob of green and blue up here that kind of just pops up out of nowhere on your screen. That's your cold front dropping down, the big cold front. Now, it's going to be quite chilly across the upper Midwest. And we're going to get a little bit more detailed on this as far as how cold it can get, probably in the next video. But, who knows, I might do a special evening video on this here in the next day or two, just for my folks worried about frost or freezes. But, you know, where you see those greens, I mean, folks, that is 10, 15 degrees below average. So if your average high is 80 degrees, I mean, your highs might be in the low to mid 60s. So how far southeast will this sort of penetrate, right, and get? Well, it looks like because this trough is trending a little bit, it's trending away from digging as far south as what it was looking a couple days ago. It looks like the core of the coldest air kind of remains over the northern sections of the country. So you notice a little bit of blue sort of try to gets down to the southeast, but I really am starting to watch the stalling of a cold front right into here. And this is going to keep some of our folks in the deep south and the southeast maybe out of what was looking like a really, really nice weekend next weekend with a cold front. But I don't know if it's going to make it. For example, you know, this is next Saturday. You actually got above average temperatures showing up now. Now, if you look at the, say, the run-to-run change with this, well, it actually doesn't show much. But let's, I knew it was going to do that. Man, I hate when it does that. Switching to the old run. So if we kind of look at this, and then I want to look at the run from, say, yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it looked a little bit colder, a little bit further to the east, but I mean, honestly, it's not as big of a change as I thought. It's actually much colder over the central and Great Lakes region, the Midwest, in the current run. But we'll see just how far it gets. I do think the cold front will make it. I just think that I think that this is going to be a kind of sweeping in and sweeping out. But man, it is going to be some chilly air for early September standards for a lot of people. So we'll just have to see what happens with this. But the below average temperatures are on average temperatures kind of hang out with us all the way through about mid-month. And then it looks like the entire country begins to warm up. So I think we all should know it wasn't going to stay cool forever. But let's not live in the future. Let's live in the present. And let's enjoy this cooler air while we have it for cooler weather fans. So we'll talk about how cool your temperature can get in the next video or two. I got you covered for people who are like, man, I don't want to see the temperature anomalies. I just want to see how cool it'll get. I got you covered, I promise. But as far as today's weather, a lot of moisture just kind of moving slowly over the middle of the country. We've had rounds after rounds after rounds of rain across the south central U.S., and we'll continue to get that today. Return flow will keep areas dry across the eastern U.S., but nothing too crazy going on out there weather-wise. We do have a lot of flood watches up, though, across areas of Texas, one county in Oklahoma, several counties in areas of New Mexico, some heat advisories across southern Cal, up to Washington, some dense fog out there outside of that. Not a big deal. No significant risk of severe weather or anything today, just in the light greens where you have a general risk of thunderstorms, not a big deal. Now, the flash flooding threat we need to watch out for the middle of the country down to the south central U.S. These yellow areas, Omaha, Lincoln, Topeka, all the way down to, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. We have a 15% risk of flash flooding, within 25 miles in a given location. So just be aware of that. We'll talk more on it here in a second. But the southeast, nice weather. Some return flow, low developing, trying to develop off the coast of southeast. This will actually try to yank in dry air on the back side of this. It works in our favor. But this will keep, Florida very messy with storm activity. So expect a big stormy day down there. But the southeast looks, honestly, besides Florida, looks fine. Some showers are possible in certain areas, but looks pretty decent. Actually a really beautiful day for a lot of people. But the northeast, kind of same thing. Return flow, beautiful fall-like day, honestly. But, I know still it's technically summer, but it's nice in the northeast today. You don't see really much of any moisture on your screen. But then the south central U.S., a lot of thunderstorm activity from central to eastern Kansas. Same thing with Oklahoma and big areas of storms that'll dive down into Texas. This is like this morning. You'll see some thunderstorm activity developing in central Texas. This will begin to dive south, probably eventually make it all the way down to the Gulf coastline, Texas coastline. And, we'll continue just to deal with a lot of showers and storms up here in sort of the middle of the country, sort of the central plains, as we're waking up for our Labor Day morning. So rainfall between now and about 7 p.m. Tuesday. A few inches of rain is possible in Texas. Some people might be sick of the rain in some of these areas. Man, enjoy it. I'm telling you, the further west you get in these high plains, like western Texas up to the panhandle of Oklahoma, eastern Colorado, western Kansas, points north, you guys know, I don't have to speak for you. It can get very dry in the fall and the spring. But in the fall, a lot of times you get these very dry but powerful cold fronts that'll sweep in and not give you a lick of moisture at all. So really just, of course, you can't store up the rain really, but really just enjoy the rain and I would definitely be appreciative of it because, like I said, it can get very dry. But north central U.S., some showers sort of just drifting around in areas of western Iowa, eastern Nebraska, a little bit of activity up there in North Dakota. This is kind of pushing up against high pressure, so that's why it doesn't look like it's moving much past central Iowa. High pressure isn't really allowing it to. So not a whole lot for the upper Midwest, just a nice day. But the western U.S., it's much quieter today, besides some activity in New Mexico. And then temperatures across the eastern half of the country, very nice day, just 60s and 70s across the northeast. southeast, really nice, honestly, too. And then the western U.S., this is what we're looking at, much warmer. But honestly, nobody's too cool. Nobody's too warm, really, anywhere. But listen, I'm going to do something where, today's the last day. I consider today the last day of summer. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree. I think September 1st to me is the first day of fall. In fact, I'm probably going to pull down my fall stuff this evening or tomorrow from the 100-degree attic. But I would love to start something on the channel where you guys can just email me or send me something on Facebook or X, my social media platforms, Instagram. Let me know how your leaves are changing. Of course, most people are still green, but and some people get confused with fall foliage with leaf stress. Some people think their leaves are changing when really it's just their trees are stressed. For example, in the South, if you're looking at some trees and you're thinking some of this cooler air has made the leaves change colors, I hate to be the bearer of bad news because I was once that person too. That's not the leaves changing because of fall colors. That's just summer stress. Happens a lot. My two oak trees, they're actually right behind me, behind this wall in my backyard. They do it late August, early September every year. They begin to drop a lot of the dead, scorched leaves from the summer heat. And it actually kind of looks like fall in my backyard, minus, oak tree leaves really don't show off colorful leaves. But anyways, send me pictures. I love fall colors, guys. I love fall colors. So if you're starting to see changes like in the upper Midwest, the Adirondacks up in the Northeast, of some changing of some leaves with the colors, definitely, drop it in my messages, my DMs and stuff. And I would love that and appreciate that. So y'all have a wonderful day. Continue to have a great Labor Day weekend. And if your team lost yesterday, I hate it. I'm a South Carolina Gamecock fan. We played today, and our rival Clemson lost. I was actually kind of pulling for Clemson. I kind of wanted them undefeated when we played them, regardless of what our record was. But I know that had to be a tough night for Clemson fans, and Alabama fans. But anyways, make today great regardless, guys. Love y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll do it again tomorrow morning. God bless.